Okay, folks, this is Acid Roots, and we're going to talk about the Beastie Boys' License to Ill. So, with this group, this is an album that went diamond, which means it sold over 10 million copies. Now, as far as rap albums that have done that, there's not many. If you name a few, we've got Marshall Mathers LP by Eminem. We also have Tupac's All Eyes on Me. Out the big names. That's what we're talking about. And so this was one of them, and MC Hammer was another one. There are the thing is this is an ancient album, and that's the first thing I want to say is the way that you approach it. I've reviewed quite a bit of rap rock, new metal, rap metal, whatever you want to say. And the thing about this is seeing as this is about 30 years old, it's an ancient one. So that's kind of the first thing you need to know when I review this. Do not think, okay, this is going to, you have to listen to this in two sides of your brain, which means it's an originator, but at the same time, it does show its age. And, I'm just going to say that I was not alive in 1986. So, to appreciate something because you were around when it came out, it's different for someone who just heard this just today, which is what I did. So, the thing about that would be is, obviously this is a full 3 decades of a difference between appreciating the music. So I'm not going to say this is thumbs down because it's not, but you just have to understand. I am hoping more of the Beastie Boys albums, supposing they continued this rap rock that we're going to have, I'm hoping for like an album kind of in the mold of Kid Rock's Devil Without a Cause, something around that. I really hope that as the 90s kind of turned out that we got, because the thing about the songs, they are good, but they do not have the they're not as fluid as a song you may have heard in 1996 or 2002, 2005, that sort of rap rock. It's different. But for what it is kind of a pioneer. Now we're talking about the 80s. This is probably the oldest album I've reviewed. So, as that stands, it's going to get a good score, but understand, you're going to have to fidget through a few of these songs. So, just, this is 80s music. So, I do like this. This album had several singles on it, and I looked them up, and we definitely have quite a few. One of the biggest ones is Fight for Your Right. So that song is one of the best songs on here, and I'm going to recommend the songs to start with, ones that I prefer and can see myself listening to a lot more. There are songs that I did like, besides the songs that I'm going to turn to first, but we'll discuss that. So a lot of this is guitars on here. It's got, rock sounding stuff, and I think, for the most part, I will say that some of it is it's not quite rap metal just yet. It's, the riffs are not as commonplace on this project, and so that's one thing. You may just hear one guitar pluck, and then you'll hear like the drums on there, and that. So as far as rock, it feels more just like, you'll notice the difference. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's not quite as much rock yet, but trying to think of how to word this. Yeah, so that's what to expect. And there's a couple songs on here. I guess we'll just get to them. Out of 13 songs, I liked 7. So She's Crafty, Rhymin' and Stealin', Fight for Your Right, No Sleep Till Brooklyn are the ones that I think I'm going to like a lot more. Those are the ones that I really appreciate. Now, there were 3 additional songs that worked pretty well. That's The New Style, Slow and Low, and Time to Get Ill. Now, all of these, the only reason why these would not all be candidates as far as immediate listens is just because of the age of them. So that's the only thing. I mean, once again, I do not think, maybe 8 years before 1986 that there was a bunch of rap rock going on. So that's the thing, is the difference between the stuff that I reviewed is it had things to fall back on. This album did not have things to fall back on. It's still good. Keep that in mind. So that's the thing. If you listen to this and you say, there's a generation gap for whoever is listening to this. I am included in this, but you just have to make the effort to bridge that gap. So you got work on your hands, in other words. So I'm gonna give this album a 6.5 out of 10 because I liked over half the album. I feel like there are some cuts on here that I could see myself liking. The Future, the Beastie Boys, I'm not sure what they're going to be up to. Pay respects to the band, because there has been members that are not here. The Social Score, that's kind of tricky. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. I think folks will probably have recognized this album. Once again, it went diamond. But, as far as newer cats listening to it, it's up in the air. So I'm going to give it a 5. There were several singles. That should be remembered. Out of 13, I think there was at least 6 singles released that got airplay. So that's something to know. I could give it a 6 also. Can this album be topped? I think I'm interested to see what else the Beastie Boys has done. So that's just something. So alright, subscribe for more fun. I give this album a 6.5 out of 10, a 6 social.